Good thumbnail.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein!
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Why, a 4-year-old child could understand this report. Run out and find me a 4-year-old child. I can't make head or tail out of it.
Or will I go?
Farabelli, you've got the brain of a 4-year-old boy, and I bet he was glad to get rid of it.
My fate is up to you.
Now, I'd be shitting my pants if I was you.
I'm so glad that intro's back. Best part of it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Your List Sucks Top 100, volume number 4. We're doing it a fourth time, believe it or not. I am your long-suffering host, Kirk Volkowski, and we're going to go over the top 100 movies of all time as told by these four people. Are they right? Maybe. Probably not. We'll see. So I've got Scott Harvey on the panel. Scott, I know you always like to talk about how much better you do when Cody's up. You got 2 months, Cody 3. How you feeling about that?
Here's the thing. I actually think that Kirk, you and I will probably agree on 75 to 80% of movies. The problem is that the other 20 to 25% is all of your least favorite movies of all time. So it's going to be a list of extremes, I guess is what I would say. I think there's probably going to be one or two each week that will prevent me from winning maybe a single week. But I'm just here to have fun and talk about my favorite movies. So winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. No, I'm kidding. It's just having fun.
Definitely going to be interesting. On the other side of me, we have newcomer. He's kind of a rookie to the community, Jake Crookshank. Jake, you've been on a couple times on regular Year of Sucks episodes. This is the first time we've had you on obviously on a top 100, something long form like this. How you feeling? You relaxed? You nervous? You feeling the pressure? Tell me what's going through your head.
I'm ready to get berated for my wacky list, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a bottle of wine here ready, just in case I get the nerves going. So, but it should be a good time. I don't know. Yeah,
that's probably a very good and a very bad idea. Also joining us, we put it off for as long as we could. Me and Cody flipped for it. I lost. It's L.A. Spence finally making their debut on the top 100. I know you've wanted to be here for a while, Spence. How you feeling to finally be on the big show?
I have so much power the next 10 weeks. If you know pain, you don't know true pain until you get to hear everything I have today.
All right. And finally, we have joined us. It is the future. Well, are you IG champ yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
Just hurry up and make that happen, man. Put these people out of their misery. Jeez. For the Throwdown, he's been around here forever. Is Amaru Moses. Amaru, we're glad to have you. Again, somebody else I know who's been on the panel for a while. Yes. You finally get to do it. How you feeling?
I'm very excited. Scott said 75-25 for you. Flip that for me and Kirk because our tastes are not similar. And if it wasn't for Adelaide, because I don't know Jake's taste yet, if it wasn't for Adelaide, I'd be expecting probably last place most of the time. But I'm okay with that because I'm ready to throw some curveballs in here. So,
all right. Well, let's jump right into it. These early episodes are going to run like a regular Your List Sucks format, which means just you and I will discuss. We'll go one-on-one for your bottom 3. Your 7 for 4. We'll all take turns doing that, and then we'll round robin everybody's top 3 for the episode. And the shut up rule is in effect for tonight. Try to keep these early episodes shorter. We will get to the 4-hour episodes, top 20, top 10. But for now, let's try to keep it a little more brief. Just give the people a little bit of an introduction, get their feet wet. So we'll try to keep it short. There it is. Be looking for that if you go too long. And we'll get started right now. Scott, kick it off. What is your 100 through 98?
Not an intimidating setup for me whatsoever. Okay, my number 100, I'm going to start out with one of my most chaotic picks for sure, is the war epic Troy. My 99 is Unbreakable, and my 98 is Black Klansman.
All right, no, we had any of those. Just remember, guys, if you anything is on your list for later episodes, say yikes for later. If it's this episode, just say yikes, and we'll come back to you. But okay, Scott, give me your rundown on your bottom three.
Sure. So Troy is a movie that I think gets too much hate. I think this is actually a really well-made war epic. I think one of the strongest parts of the movie is the screenplay, actually by David Benioff of Game of Thrones fame. I think he very ably performs the task of distilling Homer's Iliad into a big Hollywood movie that doesn't really sacrifice a lot of the themes of the epic poem. And I think that as cool as the battle scenes are, what I really like are sort of the character, the ensemble, the characters, the moments between the characters, and probably the best scene is actually between Peter O'Toole as the old Trojan King and Achilles Brad Pitt when he comes over to ask for his son's body back. I think that's a really well written scene, and I just really like movies about like legacy and your name living on after you die, and this is one of the best examples, so I wanted to fit it in there. 99 Unbreakable. I consider myself a defender of M. Night Shyamalan, even when he doesn't make great movies. I think that he occupies a very important place in our current film landscape because he is making original blockbusters. This is my favorite one of his movies. It honestly could probably be higher on the list. It's one of my favorite superhero movies. I just think it's such a, again, well-made, atmospheric, like it's a very quiet, moody film for a superhero movie, which again is something you don't really see nowadays. It really focuses more on the human relationships again, and sort of like the moral questions that having superpowers pose, and it's really interested in exploring those in a way that maybe more mainstream movies aren't. So I appreciate that, and I think Samuel L. Jackson gives one of his best performances as sort of this outsider character that we don't really see him playing that often. He really sort of toys with your emotions and how you go back and forth on kind of feeling sorry for him in some parts because he is disabled and the world has really sort of been cruel to him, but also questioning whether his plan is morally right. So I think again it's a interesting, complex superhero movie that I enjoy a lot. And then my 98 Black Klansman, just a really entertaining historical film about it, story that I and probably most of the people who watched the film was not aware of before watching it. It does that Spike Lee thing where it's absolutely a serious issue message film, but it's also just like incredibly fun to watch at parts. And he is really able to balance the entertaining elements and the gravitas without you ever like feeling like the stakes and the importance of the emotional moments has been diminished. And he also looks at racism in this movie not just as like a moral evil, which we all know it is, but as just like ideologically a very dumb idea. And like the very premise on which racism is founded, that people are different because of their skin color, really doesn't make any sense whatsoever when in practice. And again, it is in practice here when you see the fact that how easily Ron Stallworth, a black man, is able to infiltrate the KKK. And so it's a really entertaining movie. It's fun to watch, but at the end of the day, he leaves you with the sobering note that I think you need to be left with in this movie, that, hey, this is not just a story that had a happy ending and is resolved, but this is a battle that's still being fought. So big fan of this film.
Okay. All right. Your number 100, Troy. I watched this recently. I just rewatched it. I think I had seen it like a long time ago, around the time it came out, but I didn't remember much about it. I actually enjoyed it. I didn't think it was too bad. I think you don't get those big like sword and sandals epics a lot more anymore, and I think this does that genre justice. I hate Paris. Paris sucks. He's just such a I hated that character so much. I was rooting against him the whole time. The thing that surprised me about this, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it's actually a very strong like anti-war movie. Not a lot of I haven't seen a lot of war movies that make me feel this way, where it's like you're not really rooting for anybody to win or lose. You just see how awful it is for both sides and how nobody it's like the rich people were, it's just basically playing chess with the masses, and they're the ones paying the price for it. No one really wins or comes out on top of it. So I really appreciate that about it. Unbreakable is also my favorite M. Night movie. I just think it's a great deconstruction of the superhero genre. You don't even realize what you're watching until it's complete. Like you see what happens. That like superhero in the real world thing. So many people try to do it. It's so hard to get right. But I think this movie does it the best. And yeah, Samuel Jackson's great as the spoiler alert villain in this. Just a great turn on his part. And then Black Klansman I think is great. It's one of my favorite Spike Lee movies. I think you hit nail on the head. It just balances like the seriousness and the comedy, and takes the bad guys seriously, but also completely shows you just how ridiculous they are and how stupid they are. It does do like what I think is the pitfalls of Spike Lee movies where he's right in your face with it. It's like, okay, calm down, Spike. I'm getting it. Let me get it here, and he's right there with you. But it's not as bad as in some of his earlier work. But I think overall it's a really solid movie. So that is your bottom three. Now we're going to go over to Spence. Spence, what is your 100 through 98?
My 100 is Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. Starting strong. My 99 is Minding the Gap. And my 98 is Surf's Up.
Hey, Todd? What the fuck?
Yes! All right. Koho backstage. I just pulled a U. I put a movie that I really love as my 100. Not just because I love it, but because it's just like, where else would it fit? It's very much a 100. This is a movie from my childhood that I just really love watching, and sort of like rediscovered my love for it earlier this year. Just like, I like this a lot, and Cameron Bradshaw is a little bit obsessed with it. So like, let's revisit it, and it is incredible, absolutely amazing. As someone who grew up watching the Scooby-Doo cartoons, I think they adapted it really well. It's not a one-for-one thing, but I think they changed it into like the 2000s family film market in a really interesting way. I like the villains that they set up, bringing back the villains of the cartoon in live action and seeing how they interact with Mr. Ink is awesome. Plus, it's just filled with a lot of really dumb humor that just appeals to me. I don't know, sharp right turn or left turn. Minding the Gap is incredible. I might do like little superlatives throughout the series. To me, like this is the only documentary on my list because I have a hard time really connecting with them, and this just blew me away. For those who don't know, it's a documentary about a kid and his friends in this small town in Illinois, coming of age, and sort of fearing that they'll become who their parents were and falling prey to the negative impact of what their city is like. And I think that he just captures like this aging in a really tragic sense that struck me in a way that, again, most documentaries don't. I really don't fucking like them most of the time. I think they bore me. And even this, like, it captured me. And even seeing how, like, his relationship with his mother and talking to her through it all and getting her perspective on it all is gut-wrenching. I highly recommend it. And Surf's Up. Very similar story to Scooby-Doo 2. I honestly, this isn't even a bad movie. Like, I love it to pieces, and I might be a little bit biased, but genuinely, I think it's a really interesting sports film about like a young up-and-comer who's chasing his dreams and finally meets his idol at this big international competition, and is using the strength of his idol. It's like it's a typical sports movie, but it's done through animation, so it allows for a lot of fun gags, like Jeff Bridges in a very dramatic like horror scene peeing on Shia LaBeouf's foot. And it's shot in this documentary style. Jack Pinchuk, don't agree with me, but thank you. It's shot in this documentary style that adds for a lot of jokes, mainly back to the peeing scene of interviewing the kid. It's just like, hey, what happens if you get stung by a jellyfish? How do you cure it? And the kid's like, you pee on it. It's really funny. Like, it really thank you, Jay. It's genuinely really funny. It's not for this panel whatsoever, but kids my age who are not named Kaleb Koho or Thomas Scully should have a good time with this.
Traditionally on the top 100, we let a lot slide for the first episode. You're really putting that to the test right off the bat. Scooby-Doo 2, did I watch this movie? No. Do I know with absolute moral certainty it does not belong on your top 100? Yes. Number 99, Minding the Gap. I haven't seen this one either. I'm not a big documentary guy either, so I didn't catch this one. But I mean, it sounds interesting. There's this small town life stories. Someone turned out pretty good. So that's what I have not seen. And then 98, Surf's Up. I have seen this movie a lot. My daughter was like 3 or 4 years old when this came out. So it was one of those ones that really got seen a lot in my house. And if my daughter at 4 years old had brought me her top 100 and had Surf's Up on it, I'd probably have been cool with that. But unlike my daughter at that time, Spence, you're not 4 years old. You're a grown-ass person. And you've seen a lot more than 100 movies or 6 or 7 movies that my daughter would have seen at that time. So I'm not going to give you the same slack. But it's not terrible. It's not the worst animated movie of that era by any stretch of the imagination. It's watchable. It's got some fun parts to it, so I'm not going to give you too hard a time about it. I mean, if you're going to pick an animated DreamWorks movie from that era, this, I guess, is as good as any.
From the same studio as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Very close in quality.
There you go. Okay, Rue, give us that bottom 3. What do you got?
All right. My number 100 is Mystery Men. Number 99 is Cool Runnings. And my number 98 is Basic. Thank you, Spence, for letting me not be in last place so far. Number 100, Mystery Men. Scott talked about Unbreakable earlier, and Kirk mentioned it. Superheroes in real life. While Unbreakable is really serious with it, Mystery Men takes the other side of it. How ridiculous it is, how hilarious it should be, takes a stacked cast. Ben Stiller, William H. Macy, Pee Wee Herman himself, Kel Mitchell, and just has a ball. It's absolutely hilarious to watch. You care about all the characters. Jeffrey, I always go Rush and Wright. Which one? Jeffrey Rush is chewing everything in this as Casanova Frankenstein. He is having a ball of balls. Eddie Izzard and Praz from the Fugees. You just sit down and you love watching this film. It's something that surprises the hell out of you in terms of what a superhero movie can be. And then shout out to Janine Garofalo because she is kind of steals the movie with her bowling ball head of a father. 99 Cool Runnings, probably one of the best kid sports movies of all time. I mean, you get Dougie Doug, you get Leon, you get John Goodman, you put Jamaicans on a bobsled team, and you have some fun. Lucky Eggs and Sanka, you dead man. You just quote it all day, and it's actually very inspiring. It's extremely inspiring because it's based off of a true story. Of course, you have not, Spence. There's a whole bunch of movies on my list. I'm wondering how many people have not seen. This is one of them you should see. I don't understand why you have not seen it. But it's also absolutely a good time. Great message. And one of my best friends literally travels around with the DVD copy of this with him at all times. That's how much it's influenced him. We went on a bike ride through Napa. He had it in his backpack just because that's how much that movie influenced him. It's amazing. And then 98, it's basic. It's the Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta movie that people do not know about. And I seriously think people shit on too much if they do know about it. It's a war thriller about basically a training op gone way wrong. John Travolta and Connie Nielsen are interrogating the only survivor of a crew of people who went out into the jungle with Samuel L. Jackson, who is an absolute hard ass. He is a very intelligent man. He teaches our children. I hope you trust that. And just shit ensues. It's a be that I would want you to go see yourselves because there are twists, turns, action everywhere. John Travolta seems to be having a good time. Connie Nielsen is a badass in this film. And anything with Samuel L. Jackson where he gets to yell more is always fun. I enjoyed it. The first time I watched it, I was into every second of it. And it's one of the best uses of Black Betty I have seen in a movie. That's why I know that song. So yeah, love this one.
All right. Number 100, Mystery Men. This is a movie I wish I liked more. I think it's mostly Ben Stiller that keeps me from liking it more. He's just not my guy at all. The rest of the cast is pretty good. I really like Greg Kinnear's Captain Amazing. He's just that kind of like that take on the Superman character. And I mean, that's done to death now. Like, what if Superman wasn't a good guy? Like, that's just been running to the ground. But back then, like, that was kind of like a little more of original concept, and just the twist they take with his character is pretty good. But yeah, the supporting cast is strong, and like you said it, like it's a different take on the real world superhero. Like it leans into like the campiness and the costumes and everything, and I like that. Like I said, I like that idea. The movie just doesn't really hit for me as much. Cool Runnings is. I mean, it's a run of the mill Disney sports movie. I mean, it's very, very cookie cutter. It's not awful, but I think my biggest problem with it, I just watched this recently. It just seems to, and I know it's a kid's sports movie, so you're not going to have a lot of pathos, but just really work. Like things happen, like they find out like a character did a really bad thing, and you think, oh, this is going to be a twist that's going to change now, and everybody just ignores it. Like, oh, he cheated, and like, how does it affect us? It doesn't. We don't do anything about it. That was what kind of let me down about this movie. But I mean, again, I mean, I was a little older when this came out, so I don't have the nostalgia for it. But yeah, like I said, it's not terrible. It's Disney. It's standard Disney sports stuff. And Basic, I have not seen. I wanted to watch this because I was curious. I couldn't find it free anywhere. But that's the only reason. If I get a chance, I'm going to check it out just because it sounds interesting, and the fact you have it your top 100 makes me curious. So I'll watch as soon as I can, but I haven't seen it yet. So that takes us to Jake, and Jake, give us your 100 through 98. You're muted. Take a drink, everybody. First one.
At number 100, I put Cliffhanger. At 99, Alita Battle Angel. And at 98, You Only Live Twice.
Wow. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have some things to say about Cliffhanger. I'll keep it really brief on the other two, but I do have some things to say about Cliffhanger here. Okay. So I feel like when people are talking about like the Dark Knight trilogy, a lot of the influences that get brought up are Blade Runner, Heat, and James Bond. But watching Cliffhanger, Christopher Nolan must fucking love this movie because the parallels, the repeated sequences are it's uncanny. So like the movie opens with like this harrowing rescuing scene where like Stallone is like his veins are bulging, he's holding on to like this woman's arm. I want to get this actress's name here, Michelle Joyner. I've never seen her in anything else, but she's like begging for her life and being like don't let me die, like just like going like fucking nuts. And he's like, you're not gonna die. Like it's great, and his face is just bulging. So he's like haunted from the start about like this terrible death, right? And the scene, it's just like goosebumps. It's freaky. But the next action scene, Nolan basically like ripped off in The Dark Knight with the double crossing of all of these criminals. That it's revealed who the final criminal is by who he double crosses, and also especially most notably in The Dark Knight Rises, the plane heist. Now, if you watch this plane heist, it is very clear that like Nolan like watched this shit. Like it's so similar. There's also a few other ones that I just want to bring up. There's free climbing in it where the character has to climb up a wall without a rope. There's characters like burning like millions of dollars in this, which also happens in The Dark Knight. Like one of the villains sticks his knife inside of a character's mouth in their cheek. There's a scene where, if you remember Batman Begins, when they're falling down this icy cliff and he's holding on to someone with like one arm and he has to like lift them up over to the side of the cliff. That happens in Cliffhanger. There's a fight where he falls through the ice in it. And this is probably a coincidence, but there is a Batcave scene as well. So that's my take on Cliffhanger. And why it's Nolan's influence. Okay, Alita Battle Angel. I love this movie so much. that I whenever I was having trouble sleeping, I would just like write my fanfic in my head as I was going to bed because I fucking love this world so much. It's so overstuffed and leaves you wanting more. You know what I mean, guys, right? Like when you like think of a movie when you're going to bed to relax. Like that's Alita for me. And then finally, You Only Live Twice. This is where like James Bond gets like really goofy. It's whimsical because it's adapted by Roald Dahl. I love all the like big crazy sets, the hollowed out volcano. Yeah, this movie just moves from set piece to set piece to set piece. There's a ridiculous scene where Sean Connery goes undercover as a Japanese person, and like it's like bad, but it's also like this is so bad, like you can't take your eyes off it. Okay. So what do you think, Kurt?
All right. Cliffhanger at number 100. Thanks, Spence, for having Scooby-Doo 2 there, because it's I can't give you too much flack for Cliffhanger. No, I watched this, and I feel like there's like 2 or 3 dozen 90s action movies that could have put in space. I mean, your parallels are interesting, but I mean, the movie itself, again, not terrible. It's not the worst thing I ever watched. It's very much in the vein of like early 90s Stallone. But yeah, top 100, that's something. Alita Battle Angel, I mean, I'll say the same thing you did, but it's a negative for me. This movie is definitely overstuffed. I think if this movie would have been a little more streamlined and maybe save some stuff for a potential sequel. I think there's too much, you got the bounty hunter world, you got the whole sports thing going on, and there's just too much for one movie. I like the idea of it, I like the world, I like the character, but it was just too crammed, and they didn't have enough time to really spend on the certain things that they could have or should have. Like I said, I love the concept. I'd love to see a sequel, but I just wish they would have streamlined this movie down a little bit more. You Only Live Twice. Yeah, this is rough. This movie's got a lot of problems. I mean, there are some. You're right. You're not wrong. Like there's a lot of exciting action stuff in it, but the massage and bath scene is the cringiest thing I've ever seen in a James Bond movie. And think about that for a minute. The cringiest thing I've ever seen in a James Bond movie. That's pretty intense. It's hard to watch. Like I said, the movie's got it's got some fun stuff in it, but there's a lot of wrong things going on here. Definitely not the Bond movie I would have picked. But okay, that is everybody's Bond 3. So now everybody gets to get into this, and we're all gonna battle it out. Scott, we're going to start with your number 97.
Okay, my number 97 is my favorite Stanley Kubrick film, Eyes Wide Shut.
Future. Yeah.
Yikes.
Future yikes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then my 96 is my favorite Studio Ghibli film, Kiki's Delivery Service. Yeah, so I finally got around to watching a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies last year when they were put on HBO Max, and this is the one that is probably just like the most up my alley because it is an no plot, all vibes movie, which you all will see over the course of this movie over the course of this series is possibly my favorite, very specific niche of movies. And it's just like a very sort of wholesome, upbeat movie about this very nice girl who is sort of coming of age in this seaside town, and is just trying to be a good person. And what I really like is that a lot of coming of age movies focus on a lot of like, you're in high school or your relationships. This movie is more about her doing work, right? Like it's about her job as like this delivery person and the struggles that come with like being in your first real job and like maybe not always being successful at it, which, is something that I can relate to, being in the adult world now, again, having begun my first like adult job, whatever, you want to call it, in the last, year. So I really like that aspect of it. And I also think her relationship with the cat, Gigi, Phil Hartman does the voice in the dub, and he's great, is really fun in the way that, she stops being able to hear Gigi speaking, and when she's going through that like block, but even when she gets back her powers at the end, she still can't hear Gigi speaking anymore, and it's kind of like a sign of she's grown up a little bit, and Gigi's still her companion, but this sort of like fantastical element is taken out of it. So I think the movie's really fun, really sweet, just really like nice movie to watch.
Yeah, I basically did the same thing you did. Once I got HBO Max, I started going through all the Ghibli movies. My kids really like them, and I had to watch for trivia anyway. Kiki was, I mean, I'd probably put it the higher ranked ones for me. Ghibli in general wasn't necessarily my thing. I'm not as big on it as other people are. It's kind of hit or miss. But this one, I mean, you're right. It's kind of just like a hang-up movie. I don't remember a whole lot about the plot. As you're talking about, it's coming back to me. But yeah, what I like about it, I like the visuals of it. My biggest problems with Ghibli movies a lot of times just how shapeless a lot of things are. Like there's no weight to anything. This one, you feel like you're in a real place. And I just love that aesthetic. I love the town that she's in. I love the lore, like the witch family and like their whole society and everything. So there's a lot to like about it. But I do have to rewatch it because, like I said, I don't remember a lot of the details. Everybody else on Kiki.
I think we're going to get into it a lot over the next few weeks. I don't like plotless movies. That applies to a lot of Ghibli. Like, this is fun. It's pleasant. It's fine. There's nothing like truly against the film. All of them are basically not made for me. So I very rarely like have a strong attachment to anything Ghibli. And a lot of times I know you have a lot higher, Scott.
Yeah.
We'll just start this now. If it's Studio Ghibli, 95% of the time I have not seen it. So go on ahead, sir.
Okay, yeah, I had to pick my Miyazaki, and I considered going with this one. I think that if this was a Disney movie, people would be like prejudiced against Kiki for being a witch. They'd be like, "Oh, we don't want a witch here." But in the world of Ghibli, it's just like, "Oh, you're a delivery witch. You must be new here," and that's what I love. I love the chill vibes of Ghibli, and yeah, I love plotless too. I love how plotless Ghibli is. So great movie.
All right, Scott, give us your number 95.
All right, my number 95, one of the most badass movies ever, Steven Soderbergh's Out of Sight. Man, this movie is just so cool. Steven Soderbergh just somehow he makes it look so effortless, even though what he's doing is quite effortful. And the same goes for his two leads here, George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez, like some of the best on-screen chemistry ever, probably. That scene, I could just watch that scene of them in the trunk together when they first meet up just forever. And just their conversation and everything. That Scott Frank is one of the best screenwriters out there, and his dialogue, the way he adapts Elmore Leonard, who already writes great dialogue, but I think he really makes it sing in this movie in a way that works really well. The crime heist part of it, Soderbergh is always good at doing these sort of capers, making them pretty light and fun, and all of the fun supporting characters that come into the mix. Don Cheadle is sort of the villain. You have Steve Zahn. You have just a bunch of fun cast members, in the supporting cast. He's always able to get a lot of stars there. But yeah, it's really about the two leads here, and they're both just at the height of their movie star powers. And I guess last thing to say is just that Jennifer Lopez in the Dan Marino Miami Dolphins jersey is one of like the greatest movie looks ever. So.
Yeah, this movie is set up for me. This would be Kathy's first date, our first date movie. But it's taken me like some time. Like I didn't like my first thing. Like I'm not huge on Clooney. Like I don't buy into like cool guy Clooney is like a lot of people do. And I'm sure it's going to come up later for some other movies. But that just not like it's. I don't know what it is about him. I don't dislike him. Like I enjoy movies, but he's not a guy that like elevates a movie for me. But you're not wrong. I mean, they're great together, and it's just a really fun story. Like that Elmore Leonard, the vibe it has to it is really strong. And the side characters, who plays the guy in prison that he's like working for? Is that
Is Ving Rhames in? I wanted to say Ving Rhames.
Who's the accountant or the guy he's like working like whose house he's breaking into?
Oh, Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks, yeah, he's really good. So yeah, just a really great supporting cast. So yeah, I mean it's definitely a solid pick for your 90s. Everybody else on Out of Sight.
Steven Soderbergh is recently I've realized he's probably one of my favorite directors. And this is a movie that I realized I need to see. If I have seen it, it was a long time ago. But revisiting or watching some of Soderbergh's newer stuff, I was like, damn, I really didn't see any of these. So this is one that I've been wanting to see for a minute.
Yeah, I feel like whenever Soderbergh goes into like a more mainstream register, like in the Ocean's movies or in Magic Mike or Out of Sight, it's always a little sexy, which I appreciate that about all those movies. Sexy movies.
I have never seen it. I probably love it. I've barely touched Soderbergh as a director, so.
All right. Scott, that takes us to your 94.
All right, my number 94 is Gone Girl.
Yikes, to a later episode.
All right. Okay, Spence, that takes us over to you and your number 97.
My 97 is, I believe, the oldest on my list. It happened one night. I'm a child. I don't like old movies. They're often pretty slow and they're weirdly paced. I don't like the acting. It's fucking great. It is so much fun. As I get older, I realize, like, I like rom-coms. I don't know why. I just have a soft spot for them. And this being like the archetype of them all, starting it all, creating the formula, and just finding a way to not only make like a very easy to replicate formula, but having like really interesting and engaging characters in it, which is something I feel like a lot of modern rom-coms, or even just rom-coms in general, like tend to forget about. That did happen, and it was a great time. It also has one of my favorite all-time scenes of when the police are like encroaching them in the hotel room, and like, okay, we can't be ourselves, and they start arguing while they're like doing laundry or something, and the I'm forgetting the front of it, like the walls, like when they put up the curtain in that room, they just have electric chemistry. I wish that there were. I'll be honest. I haven't seen a lot of Claudette Colbert, but like she makes me want to watch more of her movies. She is amazing in this, and like Clark Gable is obviously huge, but like this is so many things just hitting in the exact right way that I didn't think I'd love, and it has stuck with me to this day.
Yeah, you're right. This is the prototypical, archetypical rom-com, for better or for worse. I see this movie as like setting up a lot of the like tropes that make me not really like rom-coms that much. I feel like this is one of those couples where, so they, man, woman, put them together and they fall in love because the movie needs them to, and there's really doesn't seem to be any other reason for that to happen. And then what drives me crazy is the whole third act of this movie could be completely avoided if you write a note and say, "I'll be right back." You save all that drama. That kills me about this movie. It just really sucks me out of it. I watched this probably last year or so. It's recently I watched this because of all the hype, because I knew how everybody makes such a big deal about it. I was disappointed. It has a lot of like rom-com problems. Everybody else on It Happened One Night.
Regrettably, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I do like older movies, unlike Spence, but this one has passed me by thus far. I will have an older rom-com coming soon, though.
I haven't seen it either. If it's a classic, very good chance I haven't seen it. It's a big gap of mine. But they're not geek movies, so I don't need to do that right now.
Jake, you see this one?
I already said. Oh yeah, I already think I said I haven't seen it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
it's another huge blind spot.
Okay, Spence 96.
My 96 is Under the Skin. No, shocked. This is another one. This is another one where I'm going to be like a little bit quieter on it because it's more sentimental than amazing. I meant to rewatch it for this, and I never got around to it. But this is the first film where I really felt like, as a film fan, I needed to do research, and that felt really special to me. How it wasn't a super literal film, so I had to go out on my own time and figure out what the director was saying, what scenes meant, like looking at it from the character's perspective and seeing how her journey sort of formulated her view on the world and how that impacted her actions. And that was just always been really special to me. Weirdly, I'm not sure if anyone else has the experience, but like I watched it, and then the first thing I did after is I watched Chris Stuckman's like 20-minute analysis of it. And like I've moved past all of that. I've moved past all of that now, but it's still like a really sentimental place for me. Of like, I went beyond like, oh, I like movies to like, oh, I love movies, and like this is one of the ones that sort of like broke me. And then beyond that, it's still a great fucking movie. I still think their guerrilla filmmaking of like Scarlett Johansson talking to random dudes and like, hey, you're in a movie, sign this, let me see your dick. And then it creates like this really amazing world with haunting imagery and some of the most fucking visceral like ideas of aliens I've ever seen. Like this movie hits everything it's trying for.
Yeah, I wish I would have rewatched it before we started this. I have seen it, but just the one time. And yeah, I didn't really, I can't say I wrapped my head around everything that was going on. And it is a movie, I could definitely see why you would get connected to it like that and dive into that. I just never have. And I'm sure there's a lot more there, no doubt. But I mean, I say yeah, I like the way, again, like how we were talking about like real world superheroes. I think this movie does like like what aliens would really be like and how like, what it would be like for them. And I like how quiet it is. I just like the look of it, like that black room with the tar and everything is just so unique in the way, what happens there. So yeah, a lot of good stuff, a lot of positive stuff I can say about this movie. But again, I just really haven't it's a movie you really have to get into it. I haven't done that yet, and I should. But I'm not going to hold that against you, obviously. Everybody else on Under the Skin.
Spence, you and I are going to share a lot of we have never seen each other's movies. This is going to happen very, very often. I even with your explanation, I don't even know what this movie is about.
Well, I absolutely adore this movie. I've tried showing it to all my friends back in 2013 in high school, and no one got it. Everyone was pissed off at me for showing it to them. And, this came out the same year as Upstream Color, and I remember thinking both these movies feel like future movies. Like it feels like future cinema, and it kind of is. It's A24, does all kinds of stuff like both those movies now. So yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah, I've seen this a couple times. It definitely gets better on rewatch. I think the movie is good, not great. Again, it's going up against a tough competition in like the A24 horror realm, but I think the movie is very atmospheric. The score was mentioned. Yeah, Michael Levy does the score, and it's really effective. And yeah, just that imagery of them just like sinking, like in all those seduction scenes and everything is like very original. You haven't seen anything like that before, so the movie's good. People should check it out.
All right, Spitz, 95.
My 95 is the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Future, yikes.
Oh, yeah. And my 94, you've probably seen this. It's Chronicle. I'll be honest. I'm shocked I like this as much as I do. I made like a top 50 when I was like 14. Like, oh, this movie is amazing. I love it. And I was like, oh, this is probably just like me being a little dumbass teenager. Like, I just like dude bro fight shit. And I rewatched a couple weeks ago. I was like, no, this is genuinely incredible. I don't like found footage movies. And fucking Josh Trank found a way to transform this like relatively like B-grade direct-to-DVD like type story into this insanely intricate and personal, I guess, story about teenagers having to fuck you, cauliflower. Like a coming of age story about teenagers having to come to terms with like the immense powers they have and the consequences of that. But it rises above and beyond regular superhero stories because it doesn't shy away from showing how truly deplorable not just kids can be, but just people can be. How you have this immense power and you're like, what is stopping me? And that final battle is one of the best fight scenes in any superhero movie because like there's so much emotion behind it. And the raw violence of it, of these two trying to like stop one like a catastrophe from happening, and then also destroy everyone who's ever heard them. It's just insane. And like I think that's Paul. Paul's right in the chat. Like these two are some of the most caustic writer directing pairings, and somehow they come together and make just like this wonderful, wonderful film.
Okay, Chronicle. Yeah, this is another one that I've only seen the one time. I probably should watch. I like found footage movies, and I like the found footage take on superheroes. Again, going back to the Unbreakable thing, like just that idea of like, what if it was real, and like, what if we really had the ability to do this? What would that look like, especially for like younger people? And I like the fact that it goes into that like, most people probably wouldn't do good things with it. I feel like there's some cheats on the found footage stuff, especially towards the end. And Dane DeHaan is just a little bit too much Dane DeHaan for me. But it's overall was solid. Again, it's just something I need to rewatch. Everybody else on Chronicle.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, I never really I didn't quite get this one. It's okay. I like it. I guess it was fine. But this is the first sex criminal on our list, Max Landis, and I've we're all probably gonna have a couple of sex criminals that are gonna come up on our list. And
you put Sean Connery, which is close enough.
Yeah, no, Sean Connery, he advocates for abuse. So yeah, I don't know, but I just wanted to get that away. Fuck Max Landis. Fuck that guy.
Spence, you would think I'd seen this, and if it was on the IG list, I was
it's a superhero movie. Why the fuck wouldn't it be?
I was going to watch it, and then I got called up, and it's not there, and I was like, well, it'll be pushed on my list farther down the road. I haven't gotten around to it. I've heard it's good though.
94.
Let's zip it in the butt early. Bad people can make good art. You don't have to make an excuse every time you put a bad person on your list. So that takes us to Amaru and your number 97.
All right. My number 97 is what I think is probably one of the most rewatchable Will Smith movies ever. I, Robot. All right. I absolutely love this film every time I see it. It's one of those, it's on TV and I'm stopping what I'm doing and I'm watching it because it's so good that it slightly makes Shia LaBeouf kind of bearable a bit. But this is Will Smith just doing everything Will Smith does in action, in comedy. And when you have Alan Tudyk voicing anything, it's always good. I think the back and forth with him and a dead James Cromwell is really interesting. And it's kind of more than kind of predictable, but I love every second of watching it because I like him. I also, anything Chi McBride is in, ever since Boston Public was out, I have been a big Chi McBride fan anyway. So when he's in it, I also sit and watch. I love the film. Yes, rewatchable. I will watch it tonight just because it's that much fun.
You described it perfectly. It's a perfect on TV movie. Like if it's on, you'll just watch it. And that's not a bad thing. It does have that kind of just that mood to it. I think it's fun. Alan Tudyk is great. I like the effects. I like the look. I like the just the take on the robots. I like just like how they use the roles and how they manipulate that and everything and the mystery to it. It's a Will Smith movie of that era, and he gives a pretty basic Will Smith performance. I think it's one of Shia LaBeouf's best supporting roles that he did. It's a solid movie. For your 90s, I'm not gonna give you too much flack for that. That's it's a movie. It's on, you watch and you enjoy it. Everybody else on iRobot.
Never seen it. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Paul, I do remember Bridget Moynihan. The reason she wasn't having a moment anymore is because Tom Brady dumped her when she was pregnant or something because he's a POS. But anyway, iRobot is fine. I think Rue said it. It's a good cable movie. Which is probably the only place I've seen it before, to be honest with you, on TV, on FX or something. It's fine to put on, but it's not something I don't rewatch it that much. I do like Will Smith, of course, because he's a great movie star, but I think he's made better movies and better sci-fi movies. So.
Okay, I agree with what everyone said. It's a late night cable movie. I do want to clown on it for a second, though. There's a scene where Will Smith is interrogating the robot, played by Alan Tudyk, and he's like, "Why'd you do it?" or whatever, and the robot's like, or Will Smith says, like, "I know it, you killed him," and the robot goes, "I did not murder him," and smashes the table, and Will Smith leans back and is like, "I thought you said robots couldn't show anger." And that's his checkmate moment. I always just thought that was really kind of goofy and kind of fun, but yeah.
All right, Rue, 96.
All right, here's the flack, Kirk. I'm sorry. I know you love me for this. It's one of your favorite movies of all time. We're going back to Will Smith. It's Bad Boys. Kirk, this is one of the funniest, most lovable, most hilarious team-up cop movies ever. Bad Boys is a classic. It is an absolute classic. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence go together perfectly. The amount of times I've said Mike Lowry in my life is uncountable. With Joey Pants yelling at him throughout the entire movie. And the more I talk about it, the more pain Kirk is in. And it's absolutely hilarious. I just think Bad Boys is Michael Bay doing good things for Michael Bay, meaning just explode. And yes, he does the stupid shots with the women in bikinis, but it's not as bad as in other films that he's done that I unfortunately have to watch right now. And I think Will Smith and Martin Lawrence's chemistry is great. It's pitch perfect. I have seen this movie so many times, and I'm pretty sure Kirk did not rewatch this for me. How you feel?
I've seen this movie enough. I don't need to rewatch this. The only reason I ever watched this was for trivia, and it's how long is this movie? Like an hour 45. Feels like it's like 4.5 hours long. This movie is terrible. It's Michael. You said Michael Bay doing good things. Just Michael Bay doing Michael Bay things. Like this is the most Michael Bay movie ever. It's just yelling. People yell at each other and angry at each other for no reason, because that's these kind of movies. That's like the substitute for drama and like tension is, hey, let's just scream at each other. Even when there's no reason for us to scream at each other or be angry, we're just going to yell at each other and blame for each other. It's terrible. The characterization is so bad. Just everything's a one-liner, and it's not funny or entertaining. And yeah, usually said just random explosions and shooting, and it's just Michael Bay is not a good filmmaker, but this is definitely at the bottom of his list for me. I can't. Yeah, like, honestly, like the first time I watched this, it was for trivia, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, it's got to be almost over, and I looked at the clock. I'm like 35 minutes in. Like time stopped when I watched this movie, not in a good way. Everybody else on Bad Boys, make it quick because I don't want to talk about this too much.
I was looking for alcohol because I wanted to do a drinking game because I still have not seen this.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it either because I don't like Michael Bay outside of one movie. I will say if there was another Michael Bay movie that I was to like, it might be this movie, but probably not.
If it was Bad Boys 2, yeah. But, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. This is horrible. Horrible. Yeah, we'll move on, Kirk. It's fine.
Please do.
All right. My number 95 is a movie I actually caught on cable the first time and was like, damn, I should have seen this in theaters. It's Phone Booth. Phone Booth is one of those movies that you really didn't like see coming. That's why I didn't go see it. But when I watched it, it's a strict 90 minutes. Once we get in the phone booth, just full intensity. And intensity in a phone call carried by Kiefer Sutherland. Really. I absolutely love how much it grabbed me from that point on. The first 10 or 15 minutes, I will admit, Colin Farrell doing his douchey New York guy, not good. But everything else about it, it's again another movie where I was just pulled in from a conversation because Kiefer Sutherland was that menacing in his voice to me, and his back and forth with it was something I loved. But yeah, I've always watched this movie. When I've always loved to watch this movie. When I saw it, I've always been intrigued by it, and just it was one of those ones that just surprised the hell out of me when I saw it because I didn't expect much from it. And then when I was done with it, I was like, oh shit, okay. I need to show this to other people if they haven't seen it.
Okay, this one I hadn't seen since it came out, and I rewatched it, just a couple weeks ago for this. It's interesting. I like the idea of like one location that exercise of how do you keep a movie moving and going in just one spot like I can find or something like that. And it does a good job. It doesn't help. I mean, it helps that the movie's like 80 minutes. 80 minutes. Yeah, you kind of breezes by. Some of like the split screen stuff to me, like I'm not a big fan of that. Seems kind of like amateurish. I think it could have been handled a little better. Especially, I think it's overdone in times it doesn't have to be. My biggest pet peeve about the movie is like it's very obvious that Kiefer was like in a sound booth like a month after everything else recorded, and was just like reading lines one at a time. Especially when he laughs, like his like you could tell he's like, "Okay, Kiefer, give us 10 different laughs." And he just did it. They just like replayed all of those. But that again, it's again for a 90 in your 90s. I'm not going to give you too much flack with it. It's another movie. If if it's on, and it's there. You'll probably watch it. Hey Rue, be reasonable.
I'm not there with you.
I'm a gangster. I gotta be reasonable.
Oh,
That's
God,
movie.
yeah, true.
Everybody else on phone booth.
Fuck Joel Schumacher. Have not seen it.
Yeah, this falls into like the same category of like late night cable movies. Kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean I agree. That's kind of all it is for me. It's just kind of, in one ear out the other. You don't hate yourself when you're watching it for sure, but it's not going to make my top 100. But respect, Rue. It's not a movie I expected to ever be brought up on here.
All right.
So you basically you can. That's gonna hit a lot on this list. And another thing you're gonna see a lot on this list is there are a lot of classics. Modern classics and classics in general that I did not see until late, probably within the last 5 years. So they're on my list, and I can very objectively say they are way, way, way too low on my list. But because it's me and where I saw it, if I've only seen it once or maybe a couple times, I can't put it over things that I absolutely love. So number 94 is North by Northwest. So it is the first Cary Grant film I have ever seen. And I immediately was like, oh shit, I see why he's so famous, because this is one of the most charismatic dudes, period, ever. I'm not the hugest fan of Hitchcock films. I think they're kind of slow and boring, but this is one that is not. And from jump, I think it was Grant's charisma and the ensuing mystery that goes through it that really brought me through North by Northwest. And why after first watch it immediately jumped on my top 100 list when I thought about it. But yeah, because I've only seen it one time and I've seen it probably within the last 2 years, this is why it's this low. But yeah, I have North by Northwest right here.
Okay. North by Northwest, not a bad pick. This is not super high on Hitchcock's list for me, just because I'm not a big fan of what he did, like the mistaken identity kind of story that he did a lot. That's not my ideal subgenre of Hitchcock. I like the movies that you probably would call slow and boring are the ones that I like better. But this isn't a bad movie. The story of Hitchcock writing this, like him, the screenwriter, basically just like got together and said, okay, where do we want to put a scene at? I want to scene it. I want to see it at the United Nations. I want to scene at Mount Rushmore, and they just kind of like build a story around that. So it's fun. Yeah, it's a great suspense, great action movie. Like I said, it's just not. There's other Hitchcock movies I like better. Everybody else on North by Northwest.
It's a really good movie. I'm kind of with Kirk. I do think that my favorite Hitchcocks are the more slow burn suspense ones, and you'll see. I think there's maybe more than one. There's definitely one, maybe more than one on my list. I don't know, but anyway, this is more of like an action movie, which is cool, and the set pieces. Obviously the cornfield scene with the crop duster is like just so iconic for good reason. And yeah, Cary Grant's one of my favorite classic actors too. So it's definitely a fun watch, but not my Hitchcock pick.
Yeah, this is arguably the most influential movie of all time, I think. So, like for modern film, so good movie.
This might be my favorite Hitchcock.
I've seen it.
I saw it in theaters actually. It's a great fucking time. I really enjoy this. I'm not huge into Hitchcock, but having seen like 4 of his films, and I like them all. Just I'm always a little bit underwhelmed because like, oh, it should be the greatest thing of all time. It's like, and it's not, and that's the downside. But I fucking love this movie. I think it's a great thriller, and it's like really, it is fast paced and keeps me engaged, and it's interesting. And yeah, Grant's incredible, but I love the supporting cast. I think each one of them is just like pitch perfect and how they're providing to like his like perceived insanity and how they're all sort of like feeding into like this what is going on like state in his head. It's fucking awesome.
All right, everybody went on North by Northwest then? That's everybody?
Yep.
Okay, Jake, that takes us to your number 97.
At number 97, I have a movie that I went on a bad date on, thinking that it was going to be a good idea.
Oh no.
Number 97, I have Grease. For like a second or third date with some girl, I went to the drive-in to see Grease. I'm like, what a great idea. Who doesn't love Grease, right? Like, who doesn't love it? I know a lot of people pick on it now because it's kind of easy pickings because it's kind of about nothing and whatever. But yeah, so I remember the scene. I knew that this relationship wasn't going anywhere. Is when John Travolta says like Sandy, and Sandy turns around and says, "Tell me about it, stud," and then flicks her cigarette away. I like said that at the same time Sandy was saying it on screen to this girl, and she laughed, but like not in a good way, like in a way where it was like like. And that's what I knew. I wasn't going to be able to stay for the second feature to see American Graffiti, which I also really wanted to see at the drive-in. I was like, yeah, let's go home. So yeah, my thoughts on Grease. What are your thoughts on Grease, Kirk?
I don't know how to follow that up. I guess that's as good a test as any. It's not very good. I remember this movie was on my house when I was a kid a lot. Like my mom and my older sisters loved this movie, and it was on all the time. And I just never really connected with it. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. It's not the worst. Definitely not the worst musical I've seen. Not the worst musical I've seen in the past 6 months. But it's got its share of problems. Everybody else on Grease.
I've seen it, but I am not the hugest musical fan, and this is just another one for me. It was one of those. I guess I should probably watch this film, and then I watched it, and I said, I guess I'll probably never watch this film again.
This movie is an ass. I fucking hate it with every fiber of my being.
Sorry, you hate fun.
Hey, Jake, I'm the person here who actually likes musicals. This is dog shit. Let's go beyond the fact that the ending is entirely reductive and bullshit and makes no sense, not for fun, just because the director got fucking lazy. The characters aren't likable. The universe is shit and boring. The supporting cast is better than the leads. Danny and Sandy are annoying as shit. John Travolta cannot sing. Motherfucker can barely act in the 70s. Nothing really about this works other than Stockard Channing. Other than her, this movie could go fucking die in a fire. The stage version is infinitely better. I have seen multiple productions and it's like, oh, this is fun because it's campy. The movie doesn't fucking understand that, and it plays it straight and doesn't understand what to do. It's still heavily flawed in its original perception, but this is a failure on 90% of what it tries to do.
I just want to point out that we got our first official. The stage version is better. How many times are we going to hear that?
Oh God! Wait for later.
I'm with you, Jake. I think the movie's all right. The songs are what really make the movie for me. I think the songs are actually really memorable. I'm a big fan of Beauty School Dropout in particular. That's a solid track. The car flying at the end is obviously stupid, but I think the movie's fun. Like
it's not obviously stupid, actually.
Well, I don't look. I'm with you here. All right, let's work with me here. I don't fault you for having it at this part of your list.
Okay. Well, I knew everyone was gonna pick on Grease, so thanks. Thank you, though.
If this is the worst we say about a movie on your list, Jake, you're getting off good.
Yeah.
96, Jake.
At 96, I have Black Sabbath, Mario Bava's horror anthology movie that I try to watch every Halloween season. This is like a movie that just has like texture and bright, vibrant colors. It's what I like to call like a cobweb horror movie, where it's like And they don't really make a lot of them these days. It's like it's spooky shadows and atmosphere, and it's like a Scooby-Doo movie come to life. Or yeah, I guess someone picked a Scooby-Doo movie on here, but it's like what I imagine the classic 1969 Scooby-Doo to actually, if you were going to put it on screen, it would look like that. My favorite segment is the first. It depends on the version you watch, what order it's in actually, but it's called the water drop. It's just this incredibly creepy thing where this corpse is like looming over this woman in this like Tales from the Crypt like morality story. Another detail that I love is Boris Karloff. He is like the framing device of it, and he's talking about vampires. Oh, do vampires really exist? And then he points like Dora the Explorer style to you and says like, there's one standing right behind you. And I just fucking love this movie. So yeah. Kirk, do you get to this one?
I did not. I wanted to watch it. I found it on YouTube, but the version on YouTube was not very good quality, so I couldn't get through it. But I do want to see it because I've heard good things about it. I know Tarantino talks this one up a lot. He really likes this movie. So, and I like usually, can at least appreciate horror anthologies and, stories like that. So it is one that I want to see, but I haven't seen it yet. Anybody else seen Black Sabbath?
Never even heard of it.
You have now.
No.
From the director of Hercules and the Haunted World and Planet of the Vampires. Damn,
Planet of the Vampires
I'm sold.
I like War Pigs and Paranoid and Iron Man, but no, yeah, I haven't seen the movie.
All right. Jake, that takes us to your 95 then.
At 95, I have School of Rock. School of Rock. So I was in like the 3rd grade when this movie came out, and it just like it like shot right into my veins like little kid heroin. It was like I love Jack Black. Like Jack Black was like pitched right at me where I was like, this guy is for kids. Like he like got slimed, I feel like, on Nick, and like it's hard to like even think of a like adult star who is so pitched right at kids in like any time, but it was basically a vehicle like designed for him to do everything that Jack Black is good at. And it's kind of my generation's Bad News Bears in a way, which it's weird that Richard Linklater went on to make a shitty version of Bad News Bears like shortly after. So yeah, I just really love this movie. I won't go on too long.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I remember when it came out. Like, this is something me and my wife both watched a lot. Like, it's something we really connected on. It's probably my favorite Linklater movie, just because it's like the least Linklater-y movie. Sorry, Scott. But yeah, Jack Black. Yeah, it's so fun. Like, you're right. He's so well cast for that, and the kid actors, like the student cast, are all so good. Like they're just cool. really spot on. And a movie where you have like that many kids that age, you could really just collapse under the weight of that if they're bad. But they're all just really good. They do a really good job of like giving each kid something to do and like kind of a point, which a lot of movies like this tend to fail at. So I think I'm very much going to you're going to hear a lot of Linklater takes. Look, you sit next to me. Get ready for it. But no, I think this movie does a lot right. It's funny. It's fun. Jack Black, again, I could take Jack Black at certain levels, and I think this is like the good Jack Black level. There's certain points he gets to where I'm like, I'm tapping out. This is too much. But I think this is just the perfect temperature of Jack Black. Everybody else on School Rock.
Yeah, if this is Kirk's favorite Linklater movie, it's going to be downhill for me from here. But yeah, no, this movie is fantastic, and it's one of my favorite things where like an indie auteur like Richard Linklater decides to make a mainstream movie, and you just see like the craft that they are able to bring, again, to their more personal projects applied to something like this that's it's supposed to appeal to a mainstream audience, and it just gives it that extra layer that I think makes it something special. The movie's really fun, and Jack Black is like fantastic. I mean, he's so good in this movie. It's the absolute perfect role for him. Like, if there were ever to nominate comedic performances at the Oscars, like this one should have at least been in consideration, because like he just could not be any more perfect in this role.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's a movie I never connected with as much as other people, and there's not really an explanation. I really enjoy it. I just can't put words on like why it's not there for me. We could talk about Andrew Lloyd Webber being a hack and making this into a musical, but I don't think it's eligible for this quite yet.
Please, let's not.
This is a movie I just want all my students to see, because this is the epitome of be who you are and fuck everybody else, and be the best you. This is the movie that turned Jack Black around for me. I was not the hugest fan of Jack Black, and then I saw this and I was like, oh, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And he's kind of done that from then on out. I rock with this movie very hard. I enjoyed it. Very good pick.
Thank you guys. After shitting on Grease, that was nice.
All right, let's say you do with your 94.
Oh, at 94? Or at me? 94?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, at 94, yeah, I put these next to each other because it's kind of similar in a weird way.
Oh, no.
I have Superbad. Superbad. So I was in the 7th grade when Superbad came out, and it was just like this. It was like, and I remember even thinking at the time, oh, great, like we get a good, like, stupid sex comedy. And then as I've gotten older, I realized it's maybe the only good high school sex comedy. Like, I don't know. Like, I look at something that half a generation before, like American Pie, and I'm just like, yeah, like everyone's like kind of too hot in those movies, and like they're kind of douchey. I just don't connect with those characters in the same way. And I feel like Superbad, the thing about it is that it's gross out comedy, but it has this like gooey heart that Judd Apatow and Clan kind of bring to every project. So yeah, I love Superbad. You guys love Superbad?
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I think this movie is really funny. I think it starts and ends with the three leads. I think they're just so good together. Just their chemistry and just their timing. Michael Cera is another guy who can grade on me really quick, but I think this is just the perfect role for him. I think because he balances out with Jonah Hill and with what's his name, McLovin, is that's kind of just like the magic formula for this movie. And yeah, I think these characters feel a lot more real than a lot of the characters in this kind of like that high school teen genre. Like they feel like real people, like there's weight to them, and but they're still funny and entertaining. So yeah, I think this is. I agree with you. I think this is. I don't like a lot of these types of movies either, but I think this one is really just like head and shoulders above a lot of what comes in the genre. So everybody else on Superbad.
So go ahead, Rue.
This movie's funny as shit. I think back to back with Knocked Up and Superbad were just great films in general. I laughed my ass off. It does get a little too much at some points where I'm like, all right, some of this is getting a bit old. But like when Hader and fuck, I'm blanking on Seth Rogen came in. That was another one where like they continuously bring in new things. That keep it fresh right when it gets to the point of being like, all right, I'm done with this. But again, Superbad, also a classic, hilarious.
Yeah, I recognize that Superbad is an objectively funny movie, but not one that necessarily makes me laugh as much as other people, just because that style of raunchy comedy isn't usually for me, unless like there's something sort of different going on, like if they're reframing it like in a movie like Booksmart or Never Going Back, where you're getting that from the female perspective. Those are ones that like just work a little bit more for me because it's kind of subverting what we're used to seeing. But yeah, compared to American Pie, I mean, this is Citizen Kane compared to American Pie. So I'll give you points for having this instead of that.
There are better high school sex comedies. There's better comedies. I don't like.
Which one?
I can't say. But there are better 2000s comedies. I don't like most of them. I watched it for the first time like 2 or 3 months ago, and it's fine. They're just sort of screaming, and hey, look, it's period blood. Isn't that funny? Or hey, come.
It is funny.
It is.
No, it's not. It's really immature and just boring. I don't fucking get it whatsoever.
From the person who put Scooby-Doo
Yeah.
stuff on this.
Hey. Shaggy has tits. That's cinema.
Somebody's on trial here.
I agree. That is cinema.
It does have like the period blood stuff, but like that is like not like the. I mean, some of those movies again. That's like the whole thing. That's the movie. That's the joke through the movie. Like those are just moments, but I mean, I think there are a lot more like character and heartfelt moments in this too that make it a lot better. All right. So that was your 94. So now we start the carousel. We're going to go around starting with Scott's number 93.
All right. Well, this is where I die tonight. I die just like Jack Dawson in Titanic.
Future, yikes.
Yes.
Day of execution. Spencer 93.
Come on, Scott, help me out here. My 93 is If Beale Street Could Talk. Damn. All right. I will say that I meant to rewatch this before the show because my thoughts on this have somewhat faded over the years. I still have like a really deep and personal love for this film, but it comes from the score. Nicholas Britell created, like, no, without a doubt, my favorite film score of all time. And I know that's hyperbolic, but legitimately nothing has moved me more than that. And I think that carries over with the film. It's just emotional waves just coming up and just washing over you. And as it's receding, another wave just comes and hits you again. And it is just gut-wrenching every second of it. Of seeing like this young couple having to fight so much for their love and fighting through everyone around them. And it has little moments and all this heartbreak of just simple life wonders. I like my favorite scene in the movie is when they're going to look for their apartment. And yes, Michael, Coleman Domingo is a god. Is when they go to see their apartment and Dave Franco is like the person selling it. And they just live their own little fantasy world of like, if this is where this could be, this is where this could be. And just imagine the life they could spend together. And it's beautiful. And I literally cannot overstate how much like the score is perfection. I have talked with my partner. If we get married, Agape will be one of the songs at my wedding. It is that like deeply impactful and personal to me that I can never not fall in love with this film every time I hear a single note of that score.
I had not seen this. I'd wanted to, and I just been putting it off and hadn't gotten around to it. So I watched it for the show. And I really liked this. I thought this was a great movie. There's so much good stuff going on. My only downside to it, I think some of the scenes between the two of them get a little like hokey and melodramatic. But there's so much to like here. Like the scenes in their apartment, like when she tells her immediate family about the baby, and then when they invite his family over, those scenes are so good. Like I wanted that to be the whole movie. Like I could have watched an hour and a half of just them in that room talking. So fantastic. But yeah, really good. A lot of great shots. It's a really good looking movie. Like you said, the score is fantastic. What's his name? Looking up, the guy plays his friend.
Stephen J. Oh, no. Oh, that's Brian Tyree Henry.
Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah, really good in this as well. Yeah, I loved it. And what I love about this movie is the ending. And I'm going to spoil it a little bit because it's not the ending you expect. I've never seen a movie with this tone do that kind of ending before, where they kind of give you, it's not like the tragic, horrible ending, which a lot of times a movie like that tends to. It's not like you don't get like the unrealistic, super happy ending. It kind of gives you like the happiest ending that these people could have, and it's very like bittersweet. And I love the way the whole story wraps up. And yeah, I loved it. Thank you for putting it on the list because it finally gave me a reason to watch it, and I really enjoyed it. Everybody else on Beale Street.
Yeah, I've actually only listened to the soundtrack to this movie. I haven't seen it yet. For some reason, it's like in regular rotation on my Spotify. I've been meaning to watch it with my wife, so it's one of those where it's like we're definitely gonna watch this, but like, So yeah, great soundtrack though. You're right.
This is a movie since 2018 that it was one of my I have to watch it, and it kept pushing it off, and I finally did. This movie is beautiful. This movie is absolutely fucking beautiful. Michael said it. Spence said it. Coleman Domingo needs to get an Oscar soon or nomination soon. That man can do no wrong in anything. And yes, that the scene where the families are just going at it, and the amount of just cutting that happens between the families, just layers and layers of just people getting cut to their core, is just brings me back to like family memories sometimes, because shit can get real.
It's so real.
Shit can get real. And yeah, that ending was when I was like, what? That's it? We're done? And then looking back at it, I was like, yeah, that's fucking life, and it's sad, but like at least it's not like I'm sitting here crying because it's the most tragic of all things. It's probably the realest ending I've seen in a movie like that in a long time. Love this movie. Really good movie.
Yeah, the movie's excellent. I actually personally probably enjoy it even more than Moonlight. I mean, I know Moonlight's probably objectively the better film, but something about the story here. Maybe it's the man behind bars, whatever. That part of it resonates with me. A little bit more, but I also had a great theater experience watching this. I had like a pretty full theater at my local indie theater when I went to see this, and people were like weirdly being pretty vocal during the movie. And when Regina King's character whatever country it is she goes to, and she flies in and she's like getting off the plane, and somebody in the theater just goes, "Come on, Regina." And I was sitting back there like, yeah, come on. And so it was, it's a beautiful movie. Yeah, I totally agree about the score as well. And yeah, Coleman Domingo and Brian Tyree Henry, both amazing character actors. And this movie actually knows how to use them, unlike half of the movies that they're in, like freaking Joker, which put Brian Tyree Henry in the movie for like 20 seconds. Pissed me off.
I forgot to say, Brian Tyree Henry has like a monologue like two-thirds of the way through the film, and it's like like he's in more than something, but that's basically like a one-scene wonder performance. Like he isn't the heart of the film, but he has just one of the most emotional wreckages of the film, which is a lot like saying what this is about.
All right, Rug, hit us with your 93.
Following up with that, y'all thought my other movies were like, oh, this movie again, or just wait. But for 93, it's the essential 90s, 2000s coming of age movies. It's 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yikes, letter episode.
Alrighty then.
All right, Jake, 93.
At 93, I have $1 Million Baby. So I love like grumpy old Eastwood, and I think the thing that differentiates this from some other grumpy old Eastwood is like when you compare it to something like Gran Torino, where he hires like a bunch of amateur actors to act alongside him, and trying to stop saying so much. Yeah, he hires a bunch of amateur actors to act alongside him, and Eastwood famously only gets one take, and that's not really helpful to amateur actors. And in $1 Million Baby, the thing that's so beautiful about it is that Hilary Swank, who was kind of a newcomer at the time, really like rises to earn the same respect from the audience and from the Eastwood character that you just bring to the table with a classic movie star like Eastwood. And you also have Morgan Freeman in there, and that ending just devastates me every time. So that's why it's my favorite old man Eastwood of the bunch.
It's a good movie. I think it's the relationship between them is good. Morgan Freeman's really solid too. Just him and Eastwood, and then the two of them. I really like the dynamic about that, and just her just the story of her life, and like you see where she came from and everything, and just her desire to be that. It's a really good sports story. My biggest bugaboo with this movie is Jay Baruchel. I know he's not in it a lot, but whenever I watch this movie, I'm like, what is he doing? I mean, like, no one told him he's like in this like serious Oscar bait drama. Like, he's playing it like he's one of like Adam Sandler's teammates in The Waterboy. Like, his character just sucks me out of this movie. I know it's a minor thing, but like, it just blows my mind that they let him do what he did in this movie. Other than that, it's pretty good. Ruan, I'm probably gonna save you for last. Everybody else on $1 Million Baby.
This is like one of my more favorite Best Picture winners. Like, I really like this film. Speaking of supporting performances that actually should get more attention, Margot fucking Martindale as her mom she's a fucking asshole. Like talking to her in the hospital after she's been wrecked and is like on her deathbed literally, and she's just like she's so fucking demanding, and it's so hard. Koho, you're backstage. Fuck you. This movie's amazing. I truly don't get how someone can dislike or even hate this movie the way you do. It's impactful in more than just the emotional way. I think the actual boxing scenes are really well photographed, and everyone in this is amazing. I think Morgan Freeman's a little bit overrated. That's just because he's not like given a lot to do. But Eastwood and the woman whose name I always fucking forget. Right. Yeah, she's so amazing. I don't get it.
I like the movie too. It's not, like Best Picture worthy probably, but Eastwood is a good director, and even if, there are a few of his films that I would truly say that I love, like I think I can usually find something interesting even in the ones that aren't as strong. But this is on the stronger side. I like the turn that the story takes in the last third of the movie, and I think it does pack a punch, no pun intended. So it's a solid pick.
All right, here's the deal. Y'all have seen the movies I have on my list right now. I have watched tons of dramatic films that are very serious and very good, but there are just certain movies that I have seen in my life, and for some reason or another, I just had a visceral hate and never watched again. And $1 Million Baby is one of them. I watched that film and I was like, what? No, I don't want to watch this movie ever again. And watching Clint Eastwood movies after that has given me more reason to never go back to it. I am probably not remembering a good amount of the actual good things that happened in this film. I just remember the visceral hate I had watching it. And then watching other things was like, no, there's no reason for me to go back to it. It pissed me off when I watch it. I don't want to watch it again. Just I hear this movie and it just brings back the feeling of when I watch it. Like, I just don't like it.
Just because it's too much of a bummer? Like what? I don't know.
Maybe it's a bummer. Maybe I didn't see the twist, and I was like, "Why are we?" I've never really been able to explain for this one. It's just I got a visceral every time I've seen this. The first time I saw this, and I never wanted to go back to it.
Fair enough.
All right. That puts us at 92, and we'll start with Scott.
All right, my 92 is 8th Grade.
Yikes, to a later episode.
I'm going to talk about any movies tonight.
Fuck you, Scott.
Spence 92.
My 92 is something, big difference from my last two. If Bill Street Could Talk to The Devil Wears Prada. It's going to be so much fun. I forget who it is in this community. Someone is just like, this movie is bad. I don't get it. I don't fucking get you. This is one of the most fun movies. Granted, it's like gay camp a little bit, but living in the fashion world, I think, is so like inherently interesting. And what the fuck, Scott? It is so much fun. Oh, you mean 5070 in Paris?
I haven't seen this either, but we'll get there.
Oh God. It's so much fun, and Meryl Streep just is like the center of this incredibly just like engaging, interesting film about betrayal and what you have to do to like rise in business, but not in like this really like fucking Wall Street corporate way. Just like I don't know, it's fun. There's no way to describe it. It's one of the films I think I connect with in a way of just it should probably be heavier on me than it actually is, but there is so much enjoyment to take out of it. And this is one of the films that, like, with my queer friend, is one of the go-tos of just like, we should watch this, not just because it is just an incredibly engaging time, but when you analyze like this film from a queer perspective, especially Anne Hathaway's character with her relationship with Emily Blunt and her boyfriend, it is insane. And also the fucking not the Met Gala, but like the fashion event towards the end of the film where they go to Paris. It's I mean, I don't get how anyone could like not love watching this movie. Kirk, do you like this?
Yeah, I finally got around to watching this year. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. What I can't tell is if it's a good movie or if it's just a mediocre movie with a really amazing Meryl Streep performance, because she's so good in this. Like the movie, I think just rides on her. And beyond that, like I'm not a big Anne Hathaway fan. I think she's probably the worst part of this, the least interesting part of this. I think Meryl Streep obviously, but Stanley Tucci's great. What's her name? Emily Blunt is great. Just a lot of good things going on around her. I think it's an interesting story. The fashion world thing doesn't really interest me that much, but I think, like I said, just Streep is so good at it, and she elevates, especially Anne Hathaway, but she elevates everyone around her. And that's, I mean, I could watch her play this character pretty much at anything. Everybody else on The Worst Prada.
Tucci gang.
Yeah.
That's what I got to say. Tucci gang.
Silly Tucci is so gay, and I love him. Oh, God.
Seen the film.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed the film. Meryl Streep is amazing in it. Good time. Good times.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that like the conflict of the movie is like the fashion world versus Adrian Grenier, which I'm just like, oh, tough choice, Adrian fucking Grenier, like that guy, or this magical world of fashion. So it kind of serves the movie in a way that he's such a boring romantic co-lead in it, because you're just like, yeah, get more into the fashion world. And to quote Miranda Priestley, that's all.
Bar, you're not wrong, but I kind of forgot that Simon Baker exists, so you have to forgive me on that one.
Do you guys
just outed himself as a mentalist hater over here.
I don't get why people didn't laugh when I said that's all and looked away.
You got it. We're going on now to Amaru for his number 92.
All right. So this might be the one that puts my place this week. You all thought that that movie exists I had before. Well, we're getting the closest thing to a musical I have on my list, and that's Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
What the fuck?
Plainly and mostly because the music in this movie are nothing but banger after banger after banger. When my dude hits the high note on Oh Happy Day, it is just, it's a moment of, oh shit, I'm going to stand up and clap for this one. Whoopi Goldberg is Whoopi in this, and she's having a ball watching with Professor McGonagall at her side in a nun's outfit, just rocking to just Lauryn Hill doing some great runs. I'm here for the music. That's what it is. I'm here for the music and the comedy. It's something I grew up watching all the time. All the time as a kid, over and over and over again. I don't even think I've seen Sister Act. And if I have, I don't remember this. Sister Act 2 is embedded in my brain. And Sister Mary Clarence was a figure in my life. I love this movie to death. I watched it. It was on TV. Again, it was on TV at my parents' house maybe 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh shit, yes, let's go. It's absolutely hilarious. And this is why I'm here, to give you all the movies you've forgotten. Sister Act 2 is back in that.
I watched this movie because I had to. It's not good. The music is okay.
The black community would like to have a word with you.
It's not.
We'd like to have a word.
Oh, don't say so. Don't disparage the black community like this. There's the
looks that I'm getting from my wife right now at you.
Movie, like,
it's like, what are you doing?
First of all, the dialogue in this movie is like, it's like the high school dialogue. It's like a 50-year-old man whose only interaction with teenagers is watching Sunny Delight commercials. Like, it's so bad. And like, it's not just like bad, like in Brother Mill, like it's a badly crafted movie. Like nothing, like I'm watching some, like, I feel like there's either scenes missing or they're like edited out of order, because nothing makes sense. Like nobody's motivations make sense. Like they come again like, hey, leave Vegas and come work to the school for me. It's like, okay. And then everybody's mean to her and everything goes bad. And then when like the school's about to go to business, it becomes the most important thing in the world for her to save the school for no reason. And like every character's like that. Like what's his name? the main bad guy, like, makes no sense why he
James
cares about it.
Coburn.
Yeah,
James
yeah, like
Coburn
his character just makes no sense. Like, he just comes and goes on the movie, like no motivation there. Like, it's a poorly crafted film. I haven't seen Sister Act 1. I don't think I'd like it, but I think I definitely like it better than this. This is just it feels like very much like, hey, people liked Sister Act 1. Let's rush a sequel and not care about it. It's a bad movie. I'm sorry.
Kirk, just remember, there are movies made for people just to sit and have fun and listen to great music, and this is one of them.
This is
part of my childhood.
I can find a better movie. Okay, everybody else on Sister Act.
Yeah,
I haven't even seen the first one.
It's added to my list now because you convinced me. Yeah, Kirk, why do you disparage the black community?
Spence,
who's disparaging the black community? He's pitting this movie on the black community. I didn't say that.
Spence, I will tell you this. I do believe you would actually really love the music in this.
Oh, I'm sure I would. I just haven't gotten around to it.
It's there.
It sounds fun. It sounds campy.
Extremely. Extremely.
I haven't seen it either.
Save your time. Jake, what is your number 12?
At number 12, I have The Wizard of Oz.
Trigger warning, Cody.
I mean, like, everyone knows this movie. It's probably maybe the most famous movie of all time. Like, you know, if it's like, yeah. So instead of like actually explaining why Wizard of Oz is good, because that's stupid, I'm actually gonna like pick on Wizard of Oz for a second and say that at the end of the movie, when she returns to Kansas, it feels like the movie should be in color again. You know? It feels like the returning to the sepia tone Kansas at the end is kind of a bummer, and it would be a nice little fix to an otherwise like masterpiece of a movie that everyone loves if she returned to Kansas and it was in color and she gained a new perspective on life. So yeah, Kirk, do you like Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, I like it, but it's your top 100, Jake. You're supposed to say nice things about your movies.
I know, but like, it's a great movie. What am I supposed to say? Like, it has many layers to it. It can be viewed as a critique of religion versus science. It could be viewed as a metaphor for metaphors. It's got everything. It's hilarious. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's Wizard of Oz. We just talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show. It's been hyped up to death, and it's kind of like one of those movies. It's so famous. It's like it's beyond a movie now. Like, it's a cultural thing. Like, you didn't even think it was just a movie.
Right. So I just thought I'd pick on it.
No, it's fine. You're fine. You're fine. But I like it. Like I said a couple weeks ago. Like, this is when I was a kid, and you had to wait for movies to come on TV to watch them. Like, this was like a yearly event. Like, it came on. I think it was like every spring came on. It was like a big event. Hey, we get to watch Wizard of Oz. And I was always excited about that. It's a fun movie. It's got the musical numbers are good. The effects and everything for that time period are cool. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything bad about Wizard of Oz. I'll save that. I'll save that for Cody and his trauma. Anybody else on Wizard of Oz?
Shut up, Cody.
The movie's fantastic. Yeah, I did love Cody's story about it a few weeks ago. But yeah, the movie's fantastic. That's just like one of those movie moments you can't help but get swept away by when Judy Garland sings Somewhere Over the Rainbow at the start of the movie. And, all of the visuals and everything in Oz are pretty ahead of their time. If you do the famous thing and watch it synced up with Dark Side of the Moon, I think it's kind of BS, the whole connection between them. However, the one moment which does stick out to me is when she first goes into Munchkinland is the exact moment in Money when you hear the cha-ching of the cash register. So that's like the only moment where I was like, hey, there might be something here. But anyway, the movie's fantastic. It's the Wizard of Oz. Come on.
Yeah.
So
that's a great insight too. I love that.
Currently in Charlotte, they're doing a performance of Wicked that I am seeing for the second time tomorrow night. Just the fact that
1 minute, Adelaide. Who mourns the wicked?
Everyone. Here's the problem, Jake.
Yes.
Like, this movie, yeah, it's good. I get everyone loves it. I have seen multiple other adaptations or interpretations of this material that is infinitely better than it, that it immediately puts it at the downside. I love Judy Garland. She is my queen. I will defend her to my dying day. But when you have a movie that has formulated storytelling for the past nearly 100 years, and then they readapt it and do it better, there's no reason to go back to this. Like, I get it. It's good. I remember having a bad time watching it. But everything around this is better than this.
Why do you disparage the little people community?
Why are you going on the offensive?
It's the Wizard of Oz. I mean, it's the Wizard of Oz. So I'm just going to take this time to say one of those adaptations that you should go see. If you haven't seen it, is The Wiz. Go watch The Wiz.
Oh, love The Wiz. I was talking to Kirk about this recently. Love The Wiz.
So there you go. Go do that instead.
Beautiful movie.
All right, Scott, we're going to wrap it up here with everybody's final movie for the night. What is your 91?
Will I get to talk about a movie? I don't know. But what I do know, Kirk, is that there's two men I trust. One of them's me, and the other one's not you. My number 91 is Con Air.
So close.
This movie is just, you would be forgiven when you're watching it for thinking that this is the greatest movie of all time, because it knows exactly what it is. And that's the thing. For me, when it comes to action movies, my favorite era is definitely the 90s, because tongue was firmly in cheek for a lot of these movies, and so many of them knew exactly what they were. And I think Con Air is the perfect example of, like, you don't cast these people in your movie unless you know exactly the type of movie you're making, right? You don't put Nicolas Cage, John Malkovich, Ving Rhames, MC Gainey, like the list goes on, Dave Chappelle, Danny Trejo, just like a Hall of Fame of insane actors, just like eating the scenery in this movie. The dialogue is hilarious. Nicolas Cage has a line about, like, naked freaks and party drinks or something at one point that, like, I have no idea what it means, but it just makes me, like, cackle every single time. The totally random interlude with Steve Buscemi and the little girl, like, you know, singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands," and, you know, just some amazing lines, like when Malkovich kills the guy or whatever, and it's like, sigh, Anara. Just amazing lines throughout the entire movie. And, you know, for it to end, like, the plane crashing on the Vegas Strip and Nicolas Cage with, like, the dirty bunny walking out as the, you know, cheesy song. What is it? How Can I Live Without You, or whatever that song's playing. It's just the perfect ending to the movie. And like, you know, you guys can have your, like, extremely self-serious, like, technically incredible action movies, whatever. I will take something like this, which is just pure stupidity and fun, for, you know, 2 hours every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, that's what saves this movie, is that it knows what it is. I mean, I don't love it. Like, it's not a movie I get excited about watching, but I understand, like, the appeal to it. It's fun. And again, it's another movie we're talking about this a lot. This movie is, if I walk in the room and you have it on TV and, you know, you're 15 minutes in, I'm probably gonna sit there and watch the whole thing with you, and probably have a pretty good time. But yeah, I think this is the best of that, like, era, that, like, Nicolas Cage era. I think this is the most fun, and it's, I don't know. It's a good movie for your 90s, for your bottom 10. Perfect movie for that slot. Everybody else on Con Air.
I recently watched this for the first time. If I saw it a second time, it would 100% be on my list. I love this movie to fucking pieces. I just made a letterbox list of the best movies I've studied for trivia. This is number 1 with a fucking bullet. It is so close to a 5 out of 5. It is like a hair's away. It has, like, a top 10 quote for me of all time. It's like, I think I see you as between a cockroach and the whites of the accumulates on the side of your mouth when you're really thirsty. John Malkovich. I'm a fan of Malkovich on this fucking movie alone. This sells me. Like, I want to see this man in everything. I will live to be 200 years old so I can fucking watch his weird whiskey commercial movie. This movie hits on every fucking level. 90s Nick Cage action movies are the best thing in the world. I cannot imagine someone disliking this movie. Cough, Kathy, cough.
Yeah, this is, like, one of my favorite movies. It was, like, actually, like I almost replaced Cliffhanger with this, but, like, not quite, because Cliffhanger fucks. But, like, just like this is a well-crafted movie too. Because last time I watched it, I watched this a billion times when I was a kid, and the way that the camera like swoops around and the energy that they gain from cutting between each prisoner and Kuzak giving like their whole backstory of all the fucked up shit they did, and Nicolas Cage walking out into the wind and his mullet blowing in the wind and him feeling the air. I just fucking fuck with this movie. Sorry for swearing so much.
Fuck.
Shit. This movie and other very similar 90s action movies were in and out of my top 100 a lot around the 90s and 80s and then back out. And there were so many movies like that if I had stopped changing my list on any other day, it could have been in there because at one point I had to say, you know what, just don't touch it anymore. This is one of those movies. I love Con Air. I love everything about it. I love every character in it. Ving Rhames and Dave Chappelle in their small parts. And Bubba Gump. I always forget Bubba Gump's name.
Dave Chappelle.
No.
McKelty Williamson. Yeah.
Williamson. Yeah. Just everybody in this movie is perfect. And then there's Cusack. He's there, but everything else makes me, like not care that he's just there. So I love the film. It is absolute fucking ball.
As a fun fact, I want to add real quick too. If you've never listened to the "How Did This Get Made" episode about Con Air, they interviewed Danny Trejo, and Danny Trejo like always plays like scary, intimidating characters, or whatever. And they asked him like, "Oh, you're on this set with all these like intimidating actors. Like, who is the scariest person on the set?" And immediately, without hesitation, he says, "Yeah,
John Cusack."
Yeah, John Cusack. Immediately, without hesitation. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Sorry, and a great Colm Meaney performance. Respect for Chief O'Brien. Spence, what is your 91?
Scott.
Oh man, back to movies that are weird comfort films for me. I'm gonna go with The Kids Are All Right. No, yikes! Wow. If you couldn't tell, it's me pat on my list. I'm gonna bring my queer identity into a lot of this, and honestly, nothing makes me happier than having just like a very like semi-generic marital drama movie with a lesbian parent, and it's just nice to see that sort of normalized, and also how it's so imperative to the narrative. It's not even just like, oh hey, they're just there. Like no, like that is inherent to every person's in this film's perception of their lives, from Mark Ruffalo being the sperm donor to like both of their kids. Hell yeah, Koho. It's just like this lovely film about two kids who want to meet their sperm donor and him renting them into their lives, and how that gets complicated, and how he starts with one of the moms, and how the kids both have like really fucked up relationships as kids and everyone around them, and like their impacts on their lives, which shouldn't be comforting for me. But it's just, I have this wave of just relaxation watching this, because I don't know, it's a real world, and seeing how everyone can put all of this work into just being happy and finding friendships and finding family is just really endearing. And it's always going to be slept on, and I'm never going to be like, oh, it's the best movie of 2010, because there's a lot better than it. But if it's just like a nice like Sunday, if it's like a Sunday and it's like rainy day or something, I'll put this on, and it's just nice.
All right. This is what I actually did. It is on Prime, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. I'll try to watch it before we're done with the show so I can judge you on it. But everybody else on Kids Are All Right.
I saw it once. I'm gonna make it quick. I'll make it quick because I've seen it once. I've seen it once. It was cool. I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it since.
Okay, yeah. Like as a straight person, the very premise of this movie makes me uncomfortable. Where I'm like, maybe if I was part of the LGBTQ community, I could appreciate this more. But like, you get what I'm saying. It's very prickly territory, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know why you'd want to make a movie about this. Frankly, it's if you know, for those who don't know, it's about a lesbian married couple who ends up sleeping with their sperm donor, and they're trying to have a kid, and it just made me uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't know, is this kosher? I don't know. So it's a weird movie. It's well acted, it's well done. It's just, I don't know. Do you want to comment on this, Adelaide?
It's the best Mia Jovovich movie, and that's a very low. Mia Wasikowski movie. That's a very low bar.
Resident Evil 4. Come on.
You can't just shit on the queer community and then say Resident Evil 4 is a good movie, Jake. That's not how society works.
Is that what I just did? Like, I don't know. It's just
anyway.
What are your thoughts on this movie?
We all have those movies that have sat on our Letterboxd watch list for a long time, and this happens to be one of those for me. I don't know why I haven't watched it again. It's been on my watch list. Annette Bening and Mark Ruffalo are just two goats for me, two Hall of Fame, actors for me. So will probably like it when I get to it, but who knows when that will be? Because again, we all have those movies that just kind of sit there.
Yep. All right, Amru, what is your number 91?
All right, so as y'all seen with the movies that I love, the lower half of my top 100 is just, before we get into the movies that y'all would think or expect from me, it's a lot of movies from my childhood that I just watched over and over and over again. A lot of action, a lot of comedy, a lot of sports films. And one of my absolute favorite sports comedy films ever that I've watched fairly recently that still holds up for me is Necessary Roughness. Necessary Roughness is take every single cliche you have seen from any sports comedy ever, and it's in there. And the actors hit it pitch perfectly. The comedy hits every time, and it's everything you love about the sports movies that you've seen over and over and over again. It did it way before all the ones I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that it still carries over, Scott Bakula coming back as the quarterback trying to relive his glory days. You actually make Rob Schneider really funny by only putting him in a booth to commentate and do nothing else. And he kills it at that. Sinbad is an underrated performer in general. And he is one of the funniest dudes in this entire film. You get the sports brawl, you get the underdog, but you get the underdog who stays the underdog because they're shit. So they're shit the entire film. And I absolutely love this movie as a kid. I still absolutely love this movie now, and I'm literally in the middle of watching it at the moment because I wanted to make sure I relived that before I came on here. So
okay. It was very interesting to see this on your list because Necessary Roughness, junior high Kirk watched this movie on HBO probably 3 or 4 dozen times. Like anytime this movie was on, I would watch it, and I loved it. And I haven't seen it since. I was like, maybe I should rewatch this movie for the list. And I was like, no, because I want this movie to live in my head exactly where it was at that time and space of my life. And have those memories of it, because if I watched it now, it probably wouldn't go so well. So I'm just going to leave it sit there. So I'm going to judge you on my memory of this movie, and I'm going to give you a positive judgment on this. Everybody else on Necessary Roughness. Sports is for nerds.
I love sports, and I'm a nerd. So there we go.
Same here. I also love sports, and I'm a nerd, but I haven't seen Necessary Roughness.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen this either.
All right.
There we go.
Easy one. Okay, Jake, you're going to close us down with your number 91.
At number 91, I have The Green Knight, which I just saw this year. This is my first theater going experience since everything reopened and getting fully vaccinated, and actually not my first theater going experience, but one where it was this was the one that did it for me, where it was just I was engulfed in this movie. And as someone who's obsessed with dying, David Lowery, he has a way of dissecting death with A Ghost Story, and now this. That by the end of it, I feel some like comfort in my chest about like it's okay to die, Jacob. You're gonna be okay. Like, and it's just a special thing that David Lowery can do. And this, as someone who loves Sleepy Hollow and Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola movie, and Black Sabbath that I mentioned earlier on this list, this feels right in line with that, with the tactility, and I could just reach out and touch this movie. So I just decided to include it on my list. What do you think of this one, Kirk?
I liked it. I just obviously have only seen it the one time so far. A little early to. I know when I went and saw it in the theater, like I was the only person who liked it. Like my wife hated it. A couple people walked out, like got up and walked out. I was in the bathroom. Guys, like, what do you think of that movie? I was like, I thought it was like I hated it. And but I thought it was good. Like I like as an English major, just like seeing the Arthurian legend done that way, because like it's done. Like it's a perfect mix, because it like sometimes like it's too cartoony, and sometimes they just try and take like all the magic and like the fantasy out of it. And I don't like that either. I think this is the perfect blend, and I just love it's such a perfect, because that's what the other stories were. It was just somebody trying to get from point A to point B, and a bunch of weird stuff happening in the middle. And that's exactly what this movie is. Just kind of go for that ride, and I really appreciate about that. I love like the look of the Green Knight himself, the character. I really like that character design. I do want to watch again, like I said, because I know there's like layers and level of this that I'm missing. I love like that ghost story part with the girl in the bed. Just all the little vignettes are just really cool. So something I definitely look forward to watch. Definitely not my top 100 yet, but it's something I do want to revisit and just take another look at.
I think the movie's excellent. It's definitely one of my favorite movies of 2021 so far. I'm not going to knock you too much for having it in your top 100 already, because I have some pretty recent movies in mind that will be coming up. But the movie's really good. It's not afraid to get beneath the surface and ask some interesting questions about the nature of heroism and chivalry, and just sort of deconstructs and unpacks the whole Arthurian thing, right? The whole sort of concept that gave way to so many of these Arthurian legends. Ends in a wonderful spot. The look of the movie's great. I was super mesmerized by it. And I also think that Alicia Vikander is like really good in her dual supporting role. I always love, and it will probably come up at other points, I always love when actors can do like a dual role in a movie. I think it's something that's really impressive, and I think she nails both parts of her performance here.
Thank you, Scott. You've been so generous.
I'll remove some of the flack on Jake, because like Ethan had, I think it was, I literally just pulled it up. Strawberry Mansion, which wasn't even in theaters. You just saw it at fucking Cannes or whatever, like Sundance. Like,
just a flex.
Less flack on Jake. Yeah, it's still sort of in theaters, but like, I'm not gonna get to it again. Like, it is in your bottom 10. I haven't seen it yet. I'd probably fucking love it. I do think it's a little weird to put it in on a first watch, especially something so new, but I do the same thing, so I can't entirely shit on you for it. But again,
I did it on purpose. There's only one on there that I was like, movies are still alive. I need to put a new one on there. People tend to put old things on there because they're old. It's like, no, movies are still fucking great.
So Adelaide, how long before we see Zola on this list? Green Knight is one of the films this year that from opening week, I've been wanting to see, and then something kept getting in the way, and then I heard it's amazing, and then I heard it's shit, and there was no in between. I will get around to this movie at some point. I am interested in seeing it. I just haven't seen it yet.
I will also. I forgot to mention just quickly that I put this next to Wizard of Oz on purpose. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for this episode. Look at that. Sub 2 hours. Hope you enjoyed it. Probably not going to happen again. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Oh, I gotta give grades, don't I?
2 hours.
I gotta give grades. I forgot all about that part because I don't want to. Because you come on, guys. This is going to be a long series.
Number one, it's easy. It's fine.
Number one, I think, because the most innocuous list is going to be Jake by default. I think Jake just had the least offensive list. So I mean,
And I had You Only Live Twice on there.
Score Rock. We will talk about that. Score Rock, Superbad, Solid, $1 Million Baby, Wizard of Green Knight. He had some good stuff on there. Like I said, the least offensive list. Second place would be Scott. Scott had some higher highs than Jake, but he also had some lower lows. I think would save Scott as there's a couple of movies he didn't talk about tonight, so doesn't get the full wrath for them. And then third place is third place is Spence.
Yeah,
Spence gave me Bill Street.
I was like, there's no way in the world it's me.
Spence gave me Bill Street. I didn't talk about it, but he had Grand Budapest. He had some solid movies on there. And Amaro, I had to put you last just because you had the most movies on here that caused me like physical pain, like Bad Boys, Sister Act 2, 10 Things I Hate About You. These are movies that hurt me, like physically hurt me. I take these movies as a personal attack.
I expected nothing less.
So it could get better. I mean, like I said, Spence is here, so it'll probably get better for you. But
if I can survive a Scooby-Doo 2 and Surf's Up, I can survive anything.
we had to throw them a bone here. So that's where we are for tonight. Koho, are we doing Yikes this time? Are we listing the Yikes this early or
no? I don't do Yikes lists anymore.
All right, no Yikes. You just forget everything you heard, and you'll be surprised later. But thanks for watching, everybody. Stick with us. We'll see you next week.
Going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Drunk and angry. Come on, break the lousy cup. Ow! I hurt my arm.
And I'd expect everybody to do everything.
I'm going there soon, you know.
Is that so? Where are you going?
Uruguay.
Well, you go Uruguay and I'll go mine.